Hello and welcome back to the channel. For some of you, you're going to be a little surprised because this is not the normal setup that you've been used to. A couple of years ago, about 6 years ago actually, I started playing around with some YouTube videos and stuff, and I kind of just threw things at the wall, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, trying to figure out what people would be interested in, what I'd be interested in more to the point. And out of all the videos that I put up, there was one that stood out, got the most views. It seemed like people were more interested in anything else, and that was a video that I did building a little macrame board for my wife. And it's been about 6 years since I posted a video, and during that time I've been busy building my irrigation company, and it's now to the point where it stands on its own and it doesn't need all my attention. And I'm also getting to the point where I'm looking at possibly transitioning into something else that is a little easier on the body. You know, digging trenches and doing irrigation is hard on the body, and I now have other people that can do that. So the one, if you notice by the title, that said Prickly Pear Woodworking, and that's what I'm looking to get back into. I picked up tools since the last time. I've got some power tools in here that I didn't have the last time. I have the camera's currently sitting on my Delta Unisaw, which is fully functional, and it'll be a workhorse for a lot of these early videos that I do. I also have a Delta wood lathe that I picked up as well. It runs currently, but I want to do a restoration on it. I also have a Reliant joiner, 8-inch joiner that I picked up. It's fully functional. However, I need to do a little restoration work on it to take care of a little rust on the fence, and I want to change out the cutter to a helical head type of cutter. Also too, over here, I have an old Delta 380 wood planer. This one, when I picked it up, it's fully functional, but in order to transport it, I over in the right corner with the layer you may see, I took the motor off and everything so that it wouldn't break any of the castings. The chute to it has a bunch of cracks in it and stuff. I may or may not be able to save that, but I'll try. But the planer again, I want to do a full restoration on it, change out the straight blades to helical head, and that'll be a project down the road. I have the tools that I had before was like chop saw, scroll saw. Over in the corner I have a drill press, but everything else is relatively new. The ideas that I have for going forward is I mainly would like to build this shop out and build it in such a way that, yes, I do have the major, these major tools that I can use and I will use to build projects. However, the bulk of what I want to get into and I want to get back to is working with the hand tools. One of the first major projects I plan on building is over here, replacing this old workbench, which I'm going to repurpose now. It'll probably be the first video that I do after this one. Is I'm going to be taking this workbench, repurposing all the materials along with some of, I've got a piece, some plywood I'm going to use to build cabinets later, but I'm going to build a assembly table, which is the first thing I need. And it's only a temporary one because I have more grandiose designs in mind for an alpha table. That's one project I've got. The first major project I want to do after the assembly table is to build a bank of cabinets here, basically 8 foot long. I wanna have like 3 different drawer units in here, and also have a place where I can put a vise, and below it have a place for like shooting boards and jigs and things like that. The idea for this came from like Rob Cosman, kind of his tool till and storage unit that he usually has in his shop. But it'll be different. On top of that, I plan on building a tool till that's 6 feet long and 10 inches deep and 3 feet high. And because of the sheer amount of weight I'm gonna have in there tool-wise, it's gonna be attached to the wall. It's actually gonna sit on top of the cabinets. Those cabinets will have a plywood top, etched in cherry, and covered in laminate on top. And then that will leave me a little bit of a surface on the front and on this left side to do woodworking for the time being. This is the first bench. I'm planning on building, in the future, building like a regular woodworking bench, like a, with tail vise and, leg vise and everything. Some of the other projects I plan on doing is storage projects, boxes, jewelry boxes and things like that. But the first thing that I have to do is get the shop cleaned up, get the tools, and get the cabinets built. Because right now, a lot of my problem is that I have no drawers to put anything in. Problem with hanging things on the wall, everything gets dusty, your tools, and it's, everything just ends up a big pile all over the place, which when I get done talking here, I'll pan around and kind of give you guys a tour of the shop so that you can see what's going on and what, the space is about 18.5 by about 22. That's what I have to work with. But I need to get some storage. I need to get some drawers so that I can store like all my sanders, my routers, and bits and pieces of parts and hardware. Over to the right, you'll see a little bit. I have a drawer unit, but it's mainly for all my ratchets and mechanical tools and stuff like that. Which I do have in the bigger drawers on the bottom. I do have some of my stuff that's there for woodworking. Purpose of the wood till, is because my hand tools, most of my woodworking hand tools are not out here. I have them in my office just because for moisture and stuff like that. I do have it, and I also want a place to put them. But to take care of moisture and heat and cooling in here, I have a split unit, which I'll show you in a little bit. The till is gonna be made out of cherry. I accented it in probably, some accents of black walnut in places. The hand tools that I mainly have are Lee Nielsen's tools. I don't have a full collection yet, but I'm well on my way. I have, later on I'll show you those. I have a number 8, 7.5 low angle, number 5 jack plane, I have router plane, skewed block plane. Some, I have Morrison chisel, 3 different chisels, peen hammer, Japanese sharpening stones I got from them as well, as long as with the guide. I'll be talking about those, and I also have a dovetail saw as well. So I have a pretty decent start, but not everything I want yet. But when I build this till, it's going to be everything I envision having at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and build it with the spots in there. Every piece of tool that I want, as well as 2 drawers for blades. Some of these planes you can get. Some of these planes have to, they'll have a tooth plane and different types of tooth planes, and spare spare blades and stuff as well. And that'll all be stored inside those little drawers in the till itself. But one of the main things I'm gonna have to do, first is I'm gonna have to get this place cleaned up, get a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that's from my business, and I'm going to be relocating to my shed, which I've spent the last week getting it cleaned out and everything, stuff that's piled up over the past 10 years. Stuff that I don't need is gone. Also, it's storing some of the projects. I have an old wall, what they call a farrier's drill. I have one that's functional, I have another one that's froze up, but at some point I'd like to get that fixed up and find a place for it in the shop as well. It's a post drill is what it is. Not that I need it, it's one of those small things that I've always wanted, and I found one that was almost fully intact and functional, but it still needs some restoration work. And I haven't, and you'll see it laying on the floor next to my green tool cabinet is one that I've got for parts, and I'll be using that. But I'll be moving like stuff like that, all of my work stuff for my company and everything, down to the shed so that I can free up more space in here. And also, this table here is going to be torn apart. I'm going to take and refurbish it, make myself a assembly table, because the way I'm going to build these cabinets is basically do the base, get it leveled out and everything, and I'll show that in detail. Build the cabinets, which this cabinet will be one piece, and it's going to be built, it's going to be a little on the heavy side just because the way I want it. I want to have a little beef to it, because I plan on putting vise on there, and also putting a deadband on there that I can remove. I only need a dead man once in a great while, but don't want to be on it all the time, and I'll also be getting into that further detail. But that goes over here. I need, because it's one piece, it's going to be close to 8 feet long. I need an assembly table that I can get it up off the floor, because with my knees and stuff the way they are, the reason why I'm sitting down right now is because if I'm on my feet for too terribly long, everything starts to hurt. But I need to have it up where I can work on it. So that's pretty much it as far as kind of where we're coming from, where I intend to go. I mean, I have a lot of different projects. I have enough to keep making videos for several years without even refreshing the pot. But I'm sure that will change and things will get added to it, and it intends this to be an interesting journey for both me and you, and hopefully, I can revisit what I used to do in my youth, back in the day when I grew up, back in the 80s. They had this thing called woodshop in school, and I pretty much majored in woodshop and ag and those things. So I learned a lot of different skills. Got pretty proficient in some, not as much, others not as much as I want, but it's been, some of this has been a long time since I've done it, so I'm gonna be relearning those skills, and hopefully I can pass on some knowledge going forward. So I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna get behind the camera and start, or I'm just gonna start walking around because I've got a gimbal that will actually track me. So just keep in mind, the last thing I'll do is I'll stop the gimbal tracking, and I'll show you the Unisaw, which is what this is actually the gimbal setting on. So first off, you've seen this bench over here. You see all the tools and stuff that I have, but over in this corner is Delta lathe. This is a multi-speed, variable speed, so you turn that knob and it'll actually check and change the speed. It works right now the way it is. So, but I want to get this as a full rebuild. Over here on the wall up here, I have the split unit. I put this in a month ago, and it's been working very, very nicely. It keeps this garage, which used to be an oven in the summer and cold in the wintertime, very comfortable temperature. It has drying mode on it, which is good because of with the wood I got. I'll show you a little bit about that. I have this adjustable table that I got when I got the Unisaw. It cost me like $40 on top of the saw. For the time being, this is going to be my work as an out-feed table for me. Once I get that, I also bought a sled and a miter that went with this thing. It all, I think it cost me about $800. So over here I have a Reliant joiner, 8-inch. They said this thing runs perfectly. It's 220. Behind it over here, when I did the unit, when I did the mini split, I did all my conduit from my outside, and I punched through the wall with conduit big enough that I could put all future-proof for all the electrical I intend to put in here. I needed two minimal, possibly 3 220 circuits I need to run in here, which will be done with conduit on the walls commercially, like you do commercially. And I'd like to put in two different 110 circuits in here that along the walls and wherever I need them. And again, that there is another video. You know, I'll be breaking these things down, this build that we do as we go, and hopefully the videos will start getting better. You know, this is my first one in a very long time, and hopefully the videos will get better, and we'll focus on, you know, I'll probably do a video over the electrical and, you know, wiring out the shop the way it needs to, so that each and every piece of equipment has its own power source. I'm not straining cords everywhere. I also plan to over there by the lathe, I plan on putting in a dust collector at some point. I don't need too terribly much in here. Also, as things go, I may do some metal ducting. They have the metal ducting that, you know, with the clip fans and stuff, I may actually do it. Right now it's really expensive, so I don't want to, you know, I don't quite have that money yet. I have other things I need to focus on. But this was the stuff out this box that, like I said, I sized it so that I can run all the wiring through there and get the, you know, the electrical fills to the code, you know, that I'm not exceeding code on that. So this Reliant is 8-inch. It's, like I said, it runs, it's 220. That's before it's going to be over here. It right now has a flat blade on it, and I want to change that out to helical head. And at the same time, I got to take care of a little rust here and on the bed. It's not so bad down the bed; it's more like here and on the back. So that's one thing. Over here, I have my big green toolbox. Like I said, it has all my mechanical tools and stuff, and down the bottom it has some of my stuff, like, you know, some sanders and stuff like that I want to get over in the new workbench that we're going to be doing here shortly. Over in this corner, for years I've been using, I've got some old cherry table that I tore down. I've been saving that cherry back there. I've got some mesquite over there that I got I don't know if I kind of want to do like a hand mallet for chisel, one of the round ones you turn on the lathe. I want to use mesquite because mesquite's like one of the hardest domestic hard wood that we have. But I would maybe pick up a little bit. I don't know if it's quite enough. I may have to hunt around and find something that's a little bit bigger so I can actually get a one piece without having to wood up too much. A lot of this is, you know, backflows and, you know, from business. These are for customers that have got me here for layering. I'll find another place for those. One of those drawers I may use for that. Also stuff I use from, it's also stuff I use for the businesses in those boxes, so that'll be taken to the shed. Those big tall boxes actually are LED lights. If you notice on my ceiling, and you notice in here, I've got these strip of LED lights. These literally have all the light I think I'll ever need. I do have a ring light over here I'll be using if I need it, but I think these things light this up like an airport. But those are extras that I had, which will be moved out here because I need to use that space mainly for wood. It's a good little niche. Also have my drill press, which I need to do a little work on the stem because I let it rust. Over here, I have my Delta 380. This thing, again, I picked this one up for about 800. Pretty much all my major tools were about 800 that I picked them up. They were used. I got them on Marketplace. This one was 220. I picked it up. It was running. We playing some boards with it, but again, I tore it down. Over by the water heater is the motor for the mounts, the belts, and stuff like that. But this one is, before I use this one and put this one back together, I'm definitely going to be rebuilding. This is probably the first rebuild that I do. Tool rebuild will probably be this one, and it's simply because I need this thing torn apart, rebuild it, figure out, make sure there's no cracks in the castings and things like this, which happens sometimes. I didn't see any in this part of the casting. The only thing I found cracks in was the dust chute. And if I can't bronze that thing better or get it welded back up, I'll probably just scrap that and build a tin one that'll actually go on here like the modern tin ones. So this will probably be my first major tool that we take and rebuilt. And again, I want to get it all apart, get it cleaned up, get everything done before I order the head, because the head on this thing is about $1,100 for a helical head. And which you say, well, that's $1,100. That's $1,100. Can't you buy a planer? Yeah, I probably can, but this is a 380 Delta. They don't make these anymore that I know of, and I just like the way they looked. And I like to simply over tools as much as I possibly can. In the future, I'll probably be upgrading to some newer tools, but these are great tools. These are tools that I had in the shops when I was a kid growing up, and I'm very familiar with them. I know there's like table saw. I'd love to get my hands on a new Harvey, but I bought all these tools for less than I would pay for one Harvey table saw. So I'll work on these, use these, and I may or may not get a new table saw, but the Delta unit saw will do just fine for right now. Behind this, you see it looks like stacked plywood. I've got Baltic birch here behind here. Picked up a few sheets of 1/2 inch, which I'm going to use for drawer bottoms because I want it heavier than a quarter for drawer bottoms. Drawer sides are going to be 5/8, and the guts are going to be, of the cabinet are going to be 3/4. Over here on this side, all my face frames and my drawer fronts are going to be cherry as well. I'm going to be doing inset drawers on this. I have my drawer pulls, which are the old I have drawer pulls and all my hardware. Some of it's sitting on the table saw right behind me. But also, this is one of my older tools I have. I have this Kubota, which, or not Kubota, but Cobalt chop saw, which is a really good chop saw. Probably at some point, I'm probably gonna back here on this back wall, I plan to put another bank of cabinets here. I'm probably gonna put the chop saw over here, but I'm probably gonna change it out to like a maybe something like a Fez tool or Nikita. I really like the Nikitas, and it's the same concept as the Fez saw, but it's not near as expensive. But we'll kind of see how that goes. But I plan to put it there. I also thought about over here in this corner as well, putting in a 3-foot peak cabinet.
about 5 foot and raising it up a little bit, so one, so I can store cutoffs and stuff in there, and, you know, like plywood mainly, like have sheets of plywood I could go in there. One of the things I don't know about yet, but I was thinking about doing like a Shapeoko 5 CNC here. I want it to be up and out of the way, and that would be a good location for it, and I can build it so that I still have my table for, or my countertop that I need for like chopping, you know, the chop saw when I need to use that. But for right now, my wood's sitting here. This chair's been here a few days acclimating to the temperature, and but I have plenty of time for it to continue acclimating while I tear this apart, and that will be the next video that I do. But I think I pretty much went over, and until next time, stay safe.